Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Whoa, look at that. We got three faces on the screen. I don't know what we're doing here at the Rocket Hour, but we do have a special guest, Mr. Mike Somich. Mike, how you doing this morning? I know you were up a little late watching your Blues. It's a little early here on the East Coast, I guess, for you this morning.
I'm doing good, man. When you got a 2-year-old, noon is not early. Or 11 a.m. is not early, let me tell you that much. So, yeah, doing good, man. I'm looking forward to handicapping this Gulfstream card. First time we've been off the turf in a while, so got a little rain in South Florida. See how that affects the track and how it plays. Yeah,
it's interesting. You know, we've been on the turf the entire time, so I don't know if you're bringing the bad weather to us or the three of us are doing damage here on the Rocket Hour. We're going to recap yesterday, which was unbelievable. Twitter DMs, emails flying, all the great and positive stuff. So we're going to get into that. But let's just start with today's card because Aaron and I were kind of on before, and we were kind of like, I don't know, this is a tricky sequence. And so luckily for me, I'm going to abstain today. I'm going to let you guys kind of go at it. Both of you guys kind of, I told Mike yesterday, you can play the card however you want. And that's what we want. We want creativity. We want different kind of ideas. The first race is really, really tricky. So we'll start here with the race 7 at the end of the sequence. And Aaron, I'll kind of kick it off to you here as I read the conditions. Allowance optional claiming $12,500 for Florida bred fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, going 1 turn, 8 furlongs on the dirt. This was really, really tricky to kick off the sequence.
Yeah, I don't know if I had trouble handicapping the card and picking the horses to use. I kind of found it to be a little straightforward, some of these races. My big trouble and what we try to do on this show every day for you guys is try to find the value in all the races as far as putting together the bets. That's where I had the trouble. I think for the way I put together stuff, I liked a lot of favorites, and it's like, damn, this is going to be tough because I've said on the show before, I don't make up like, hey, he's 15-1. I'll just make up a reason and throw him in the race. That's just not how I like to do things. So yeah, kicking off this race, I had no trouble finding that the 2 and the 3 were going to be the 2 horses that you absolutely 100% had to use. And as I looked through the race, it's like, well, these 2 are going to win. It's going to be one of these 2. The problem is, they're the 2 favorites. How the hell do I come up with something here to say, hey, you're going to make a lot of money in this race? So I think the 3 is the best horse. The problem is, I think the 3 is going to get a brutal trip compared to the 2. Another big problem. So do I bet the 2 to win and then the 3 is the best horse and I get pissed? Do I bet the 3 and then the 2 trips out? It really gave me a lot of heartache. Finally, I just said, you know what? I'm going to go a $10 exacta box 2-3 to start this thing out. And it's not a great bet, but I think it is the best bet for this particular race. So I'm hoping that this thing pays $5-6 for $1. We get it 10 times. We make 50 or 60 bucks. And we go on. And it's kind of okay, if we hit this and we're right, then we've got all the money, or we've got all the other 3 bets covered for the sequence because we've hit this race. So that was kind of my strategy on it. Just real quick, I'll talk 3-2 and then I'll kick it to Somich because I know, you've got the same horses of senior ticket. The thing is, I think the 3 is the best horse, but I don't see a lot of pace in the race. And I think the 2 is going to sit a perfect kind of stalking trip off of the 1 here. And it's just going to be kind of a situation of, can the 3 run down the 2 if the 2's fresh and running late? That's really all it is. I will be shocked if anybody but these 2 horses win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to echo Aaron's sentiments. I found that this was a tough 4 races to jump into and find a ton of value with. I actually texted Ricky last night, hey, can I play a pick 5? Because I think I could have 4 singles in these 4 races. So I have pretty strong opinions in each, and that's really how I decided to structure my bets. So I'm going to play some large daily doubles and just bring out Thor's hammer and see if we can hit a couple. And then I'll play a shorter pick 3 or pick 4 in case, in any of those races I don't get the horse home that I really like. I agree with your entire sentiment here. I would not totally agree that the 3 is the better horse, though. I think that the 2 could be the better horse, is the better price, and is going to get the better trip. You're looking at a second off the layoff for Pletcher, a horse that was in grade 1, grade 2 races back in 2019, ran into grade 3 in 2020. That first 6 furlong race, I think, is very much a tune-up to stretch out, and you're going to see this horse show some more speed. And I don't see anyone that can go with the 2 if the 2 wants to go. Now, if the 2 does decide to sit behind the 1, I think that's a viable option as well. But either way, the 2 is going to be in front of the 3, and I'm not so sure the 3 can run down the 2 here. So I'm going to play the 2 as a bullet here in a daily double to start out a $5 daily double. And then I'm going to use the 2 and the 3 in the pick 4. I agree with you. I don't see anyone else who can win here. I did consider playing a 2-3 over 2-3 over 5 trifecta, because I do think the 5 is clearly the 3rd best horse in this race. But I thought there was just more value in trying to nail this 2 with a double with a couple horses that I like in the next, where I think there's a weaker favorite.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting, at least from my end, again, I'm not putting a ticket up, and for technological purposes, I'm going back and forth between tickets. So if you guys aren't like, I don't see both, I'm going to be kind of going back and forth. So that's fine. Right now we have mics up and I'll switch back and forth. I think the biggest key to this race was, where's the speed coming from? There was nothing really that jumped out on paper. And I think obviously handicapping has to do with one of those angles where you're going to find the speed, but it doesn't look like there's a lot on paper. Aaron, I'll throw it to you. Do you see any of the other, I would say, longer shots on paper, maybe trying to go to the front and mix things up, or does it just look like a 2-3 and it's going to be a merry-go-round type of race?
I definitely think what Mike said is accurate. The 5 is the 3rd best horse in the race, but it's like, I don't think the 5 can win. So if I was going to go and play the try, kind of like Mike suggested, that would be the horse I would throw in the bottom. Maybe I would throw it in the 2nd spot just to hope to get lucky, but I really think it does set up exactly like he said. If the 1 goes out in front, the 2 will just sit right off. If not, the 2 will be on the lead, and it's just going to be catch me if you can with the 3. And honestly, if I'm the jock of the 2, I'm just kind of looking back for the 3 the whole time, because I have no problem with anybody else in the race. I'm not afraid of anybody else here. It's all 2-3 for me. This is one of the things that I was looking forward to. Mike and I maybe disagreeing and kind of getting into debate, but there's no debate here. I mean, we both see this race exactly the same. Yeah, sure, maybe he thinks the 2's better than the 3, but at the same time, he's saying it's debatable. I'm saying it's debatable. So there's really not a whole lot to go over in this race. It seems very straightforward.
Yeah, and it's interesting, people come on here and I try to advertise that we're going to be fighting and debating, but you guys kind of took that off the edge. And I agree. Again, I'm not playing any tickets here online, but I kind of agree. I think the 2 and 3 are really kind of standout type of horses. I do also agree with your sentiments that the 5 is probably the 3rd best choice. So if you were to play some sort of 2-3, 2-3 with 5, or maybe 2-3 with 2-3-5, if maybe you see the 5 somehow getting second. So I kind of agree with your sentiment there. And I think this race is kind of straightforward. One last thing to note, this is a 6-horse field, so with a lack of speed, I think it's going to be pretty slow on the front end. Tell me if you guys kind of agree. I see maybe 24-4, or maybe 24-3 at the quickest. I just don't see it kind of heating up. Mike, do you kind of envision that first quarter as well, or something maybe a little quicker?
I think it'll be a little quicker than that. I think the 4 might show speed. It was sprinting before the layoff, so you might see the 4 try and go with the 2 a little bit. But if I'm Saez, I don't know if I want to go 24-4 and let the 3 stay close to me. I think that part of the weapon of the 2 is to be able to go 23-3 and keep going. And that's kind of how you're able to run some of these off their toes. I'm not sure that you don't want to be up a length and a half, going a little bit quicker, and forcing Ortiz to use a little bit of the horse early. And so I think that I would expect more of that high 23s type number, because I think that you use your weapon here if you're Saez, and you send a little bit and you force these horses to get strung out.
Yeah, exactly. And to Dennis's point here, maybe the 4 shows a little bit more. We know kind of how aggressive Luis Saez is, so I guess that's one thing to note as well. I think we can all kind of come to the consensus that it's going to be a tight pack. It's probably going to be relatively slow. The 2 will probably have the advantage, and they'll kind of just see how far they can take them. Let's move on to race 8. It's a starter allowance for 4-year-olds and upward, with all that great language that I'm not going to go through, going 5 furlongs on the turf. Do note that this race is going to stay on the turf. Races 1, 4, and 6 are off the turf, giving you a little value information there. The 1 miles ahead is scratch due to MTO, and the 9 there catch and scratch as well. Mike, kind of walk me through the sequence. I kind of saw this as wide open. Kind of tell me how you thought you saw this race, and is there anyone that kind of sticks out to you on paper?
Yeah, I mean, this is we talked about there was no debating last time. I think we're about to get into a little bit of debate because Aaron didn't use either of the horses that I used in my daily double here, and I think that the 7 is an awful favorite, and he's got the 7 used. So I think this is one of those situations where we are going to talk a little bit smack back and forth. I do think this race is relatively wide open. I think that the rain does affect specifically the 5 fully loaded, who I had as a horse who I really liked in this spot before the rain came down. His worst 2 races are over a yielding and a good turf, so I'm a little concerned about him over that specific form or that specific style of turf. But he doesn't love a cut in the ground, and a couple of these do. So I'm going to end up going 2 deep here on the doubles. I'm going to go 4 deep in the pick 4. But for the top 2, I'm going to go with the 2-horse Infinite, who is a Wesley Ward horse. Getting back to turf sprinting, was on synthetic last time, has been able to show speed at multiple tracks. I like that Corrales was on this horse. It's one of Ward's top jockeys. So the fact that he was on this horse in the Midwest, and now we're getting Velasquez up, I think is a good sign. It's a 5-year-old son of Scat Daddy, who I think is going to continue to take a step forward here. If you look at the last couple turf races, you're looking at a horse that's able to stalk mid-pack, which I think is important in this spot because there's a lot of speed signed up, and able to make a move around the turn. I think Velasquez is going to sit right to the inside, get a rail trip around that one turn, and be able to float out to that 2 path and go right on by. So I like the 2-horse quite a bit here, Infinite on top. Other one I'm going to use is the 6-horse, who's a little bit of a price. So Tropicat has lost to a couple of these, including fully loaded last time out. But Tropicat, that was Tropicat's first race off an extended layoff, a couple months. We're getting the second out in the cycle here. This horse has done well over a good turf, likes Gulfstream Park, 5 for 21, likes the distance, 1 for 5. And this horse consistently is throwing up those mid to high 80s buyers. And again, is going to come from just a little bit off the pace. And to me, that was the key. I think there's a ton of speed signed up here. And I'm going to let Aaron talk about the 7 before I rebuff the 7. But because of all the speed signed up, I want someone who's going to be able to sit the trip and stalk a little bit. I think that Gulfstream's turf was actually playing a little favorable to horses off the pace, which sounds funny because we had 2 horses wire the field yesterday. One of them was an absolute incredible ride by Julien Leparoux, who if you ever want to watch like how you should walk a dog, what he did in that first quarter yesterday on the 6-horse was absolutely amazing because he didn't use any speed and just slowly pulled away of the field and got to the inside by the turn. The other one got a super bob and relatively lucky to win with a first-time starter absolutely closing down on him. So the other turf race was one from off the pace. So for me, I think that speed necessarily is not as good as we think. I think it's a little bit of a mirage right now at Gulfstream Park, and generally with a cut in the ground, closers do better as well. So because of that, I'm going to be looking at the 2 and the 6 here for my daily doubles. So I'm going to close it, a $5 double with the 2 and the 6. I'm going to start another $5 double with the 2 and the 6 here.
Yeah, this is great, folks. Honestly, I'm just sitting here listening to you guys give, because I don't know anything. I'll be honest. I'm the first one who doesn't know anything, but getting the chance to listen to you two kind of break this down is fantastic. Aaron, of course, Mike doesn't like the 7, but that's fine because Mike doesn't like short prices. And that's okay. No bias there. I know you were a fan of Kirsto Sky, and probably a few others as well. Kind of walk me through how you saw this race, and if you're going to be playing the morning line favorite here.
There's so much to unpack here that I've got to address first. One, we give Ricky a show and he says he doesn't know anything. That's great.
You're doing pretty well on this thing.
Yeah, glad we gave Ricky a show, and it's like a hit, and he's like, I don't know.
I'm listening to the experts today.
Yeah, solid self-promotion by Ricky. Appreciate it. I mean, I'm really proud of that. Yeah, Mike, I want to address your comment on Julien Leparoux yesterday. And maybe we're both a little biased because we had that horse. I had that horse on top at 8-1, and it was a nice cash for you on a very big day yesterday for you. But you're right. That was an absolutely flawless ride by a guy that doesn't give a lot of flawless rides. Mm-hmm. But you know what? At Gulfstream this meet right now on the turf, I don't know who I'd rather have. I mean, he has been very good. Maybe I don't know who I'd rather have is a little bit of too much.
Maybe
he's been good. He's been really good. So hats off to Julien Leparoux. So let's talk about the race now. I just had those 2 things were just like sticking in my mind. So let's talk about the race. The good news is Infinite Sky was my 4th choice. I think that if you're going to use, as far as multis, I think you got to use that horse. For my purposes, I left him off. But here's the deal. I played a 3-horse $1 trifecta box. So if you know me and you know on the show, I went $6 this race. That means that I just don't have that strong of an opinion. And but the problem with this race, I wish there were like 12 horses in it, right? And then we could get a try box for 50 cents. We'll add another horse and we'll have some value. With the scratch, and we don't really know about the surface, and I kind of like some shorter prices, it's like I'm just going to try to take a swing and try to be right. Yeah, so on top, I did pick the 5 fully loaded. I'm with you. I'm a little bit concerned about the condition of the turf course, but I also think by the 8th race, I don't know if that course will actually be good. If you followed Gulfstream Park, they have got like 0 rain this whole meet. It's raining, but it's stopped now. I think by the time they get there, we might be looking at maybe it's listed as good, but it's more on the faster side. So I wasn't overly concerned about that, but I do understand what you're saying. I put the 5 on top. Listen, if you watch the Rocket Show, believe it or not, last week this horse ran, and I was all over this horse. Finished 4th, beating a length. But Ricky, you'll remember, and I think Mike, you may have been in the background actually when we were talking about this. That was a really sharp race. Like we thought that was a stakes caliber field. I think this field's decent too. It's not really a knock on the field, but I think it is a little bit weaker of a race than what this horse faced last time out. So I think if he shows up and runs well, he is definitely one that's going to make some noise. The 7, yeah, I put the 7 in second. I don't know. I think the problem is, Mike, we don't really agree on the pace setup. I kind of think this horse is going to be out on the lead. I don't see a ton of pressure on the 7. I think getting back to the turf is probably the most questionable thing. This horse, winning on the dirt, you don't usually see a horse that's winning on the dirt go back to the turf. But I do think the early speed in a 5 furlong race at Gulfstream's pretty well. And for my style here of playing the try, I got to think that this horse can hold on and get second and third. And then the third horse I use, and the horse that I'm hoping is going to spice things up, is the number 4 New York's Finest. This is a really inconsistent horse. You never really know what you're going to get out of him. His best race, though, can definitely make some noise in here. And at 8-1, and I think you're going to get close to that because of the other horses that we've talked about that are going to get bet. Gets in the Ramirez barn for the first time. Luis Saez jumps aboard. He doesn't ride for this barn often. When he does, they usually run well. I thought right here in this spot, the Saez getting aboard angle was enough for me to play the horse in the trifecta. If you see a crappy jockey get on, it's like, well, maybe this horse has just lost it. But with Saez aboard, it kind of makes me think that the 4 is going to run a decent race. 4, 5, 7, $1 trifecta box. It's just $6. I'm just trying to take a shot here and hope to get lucky. But we'll see what happens. I really think 7 gets out in front. 5's kind of in that stocking trip, and I think because of the trips, they're going to be kind of tough to beat here.
Yeah, no, and I completely agree. I do appreciate this comment, so maybe I know something. But we'll leave that there. It's interesting I kind of, when I was going through this, I kind of like the 4 also. I don't know what kind of form he's in as he turns 7. It's weird. He's 10 for 23 on the turf. That's fantastic. 1 second, 0 thirds. So this horse is putting in a monster effort, or he's just awful. But I did think it was a horse you could include as well. The biggest factor here is if you like the 5 fully loaded, which I kind of did, I think including the 6 Tropicat is important because of the race they ran last time out. I don't know, in my opinion, and I'll throw it to you guys, if you could leave 1 or 2 out. The 5 kind of got the better trip, kind of sat the rail. The 6 had to go a little bit further out. Mike, I'll throw it to you first. I don't have your ticket exactly in front of me, and I'll put it up in a minute. Do you agree that if you use the 5 fully loaded or the 6 Tropicat, you have to use the other? And if that is the case, does the budget allow for it? Would you necessarily say these are must uses, or are you kind of taking a stand against one of the two? How did you kind of factor that into your decision making?
So first off, I agree that if you're using the 5, you should use the 6, or vice versa. So in the 50-cent pick 4, I am going to use 2, 4, 5, 6. I think Aaron's point is a good one, that the 7 in the try box is a logical horse. I think the 7 has a good shot at hitting the board. But you mentioned you think the 7 might be lone speed. The 7 has never been in the lead in a turf sprint, never made the lead. And I think people often confuse dirt speed and turf sprint speed. They're very different beasts. And both the 8 and the 8 and the 9 can go sub 22 seconds on the turf. Both did it actually in their last race. So I think you've got a difference between dirt speed and turf speed here. I think the 7 is great dirt speed. I think he's a step slow on the turf when you're going 5 furlongs. And that's why I don't think he'll make the lead. And that's why I think you're going to see a hotter pace here. And that's why I didn't use him on top. He doesn't pass horses. He needs the lead to win. And that's something why I'm concerned about the 7. However, of all the speed, who's going to hold the best? The 7. Like, it's a legit horse that can finish second or third. I just don't want this horse on top. And that's the reason I'm not using the 7 in my double or in my pick 3 or my pick 4 here. I agree. I think that Tropicat got the worst of it last time. I think Fully Loaded's a good horse. And, you know, last race out, I know Aaron mentioned it. You guys covered it. I think it's Yes, I'm Free won that last race. And Yes, I'm Free was beat by Fully Loaded the race before. And you see My Taiwan On, who won yesterday, who was in a great spot. So it's a lot of these horses that we see banging heads. And so you can kind of use some of that form. But I agree. The 6 got a worse trip last time. I think the pace setup is better this time for the 6. And I think Fully Loaded will sit a decent trip, but it's going to be pretty hot up front in my mind. And if it is pretty hot, I want horses that are coming from off the pace. I think the 4 is the spice horse. I mean, if the 4 shows up with its A effort, it's got a legit shot at winning the race. It's just we don't know if we're going to get the A effort. I do like the fact that New York's Finest is switching back to Luis Ramirez, who had this horse all of last year at Gulfstream Park and was able to get this horse to run some mid to low 80 buyers and be able to win going 5 furlongs on the turf. So I think it's interesting that we're going back to that barn after being in New York. So we've got some experience there, and that win over this turf course was with Luis Saez, which I think is another good sign. So I think the 4 is a legit threat here. My main play is to fade the 7 and try and add value into the pick 4, and that's why I'm using the 2, 4, 5, 6. But again, I agree with Aaron. If you're playing a triple, you probably should include the 7 in the second or third spot. It has a legit shot to hit the board. I just don't think that you're getting the value to get the horse to win on top.
Real quick, Aaron, before I throw it to you to kind of go back at it or add something different, the 9 Fair Catch is scratched. So that's one speed that if you thought would make the case is out. I think we could agree that horse probably isn't good enough. Aaron, is there anything you want to add to it? I'll make the case, real quick and tell me if you agree here. I think Kirsto Sky was just running against better. So you can make the case that, yeah, he hasn't gone to the lead and dirt speed is definitely different from turf speed. I completely agree. But if you look at those races, Locky, Cool Arrow, those horses are just better than these. So that would be kind of my rebuff. Aaron, I'll kind of let you answer Mike's point real quick before we move on. Do you think Kirsto Sky, I guess, makes the lead, does it with ease, and is a legitimate win candidate? Obviously, you included him, but how confident are you at 2-1 on the morning line?
Well, we did this show the way we did it for a reason. As far as one person does a pick 4, one person, well, in Mike's case, he's done a bunch of shit, so that's great. But one person goes at it from a multi-race standpoint, and one person goes from an exacta try or win type standpoint for a horse like Kirsto Sky that we just talked about. Okay, there's 2 ways to look at him. The way Mike looks at it is, this is a favorite I can beat. I'm going to take some shots against. I look at it and say, yeah, sure, do that. But if you're playing a try, you kind of have to use him, because you don't want the 4 winning the race, and then you don't use the 7 and he comes in second. And it's like, oh my God, the 4 just won at 8-1. This try paid like $80, and I just did. All I had to do was use the 7. So you got to be logical in that sense. So I'm kind of proud of. We just showed why we structured the show like this, to get people thinking in all aspects of what they're going to bet on. I still think the 7 will get the lead. I'll stick strong on that opinion. I just think if the horse gets the lead, he is going to be tough to pass. And to Mike's point, even if he's second or third, I think he's going to stick in whatever position he is. I think he sticks there. I agree with that 100%. So if he's in third, at the quarter pole, he'll finish third in the race. So, I think just a difference of opinion of what the pace is going to be is where the handicapping difference is there. Real quick on Tropicat. Here's the deal. I thought the horse ran very well, like you guys said, 2 back or last time out, and then 2 back actually won. I don't like that we haven't seen the horse in a while. Like, if I had one and I'm training him or I'm owning him and he's running really well, I'd put him right back in 21 days. Haven't seen him at 117. I just thought that was just a slight pause, tap on the brake a little bit for me. Listen, I don't really argue with trying to play the horse, but when I don't really have a strong opinion and I'm trying to invest like $5-6 in the race for what I'm trying to do here, you got to cut out a few, and that was one I just kind of cut out for that reason.
Yeah, no, and that's a strong point to you. Aaron, to your point, he wasn't in great form and then got in really good form and then has been on the sidelines. That's definitely a pause for concern unless you have some inside information that maybe we don't know about. But you could assume there was a fitness issue at the very least off the layoff. As we hit the back half of the sequence here, allowance optional claiming 35,000 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, going 1 3/8 miles on the turf. This is really, really interesting. Aaron, I'll start with you real quick. Going 11 furlongs on the turf, it's 3 full turns. It's really sometimes difficult to kind of look into these races. You kind of really have to go by pedigree and if they've done it before. All these things factor in. Where did you kind of start? Where was your beginning here? I know what does the Sharks say is the 5-2 morning line favorite. Is that kind of where you went, or are you kind of looking at more some value here as we kick off the ninth?
Yeah, I went a lot of different ways and angles as far as what do I do here. Just real quick, the horses I would use are the 1, 2, the 6, and the 8. But you look at it and it's like, yeah, I'm not that confident in that to really get it involved and for the aspects of an exacta or try. It's just like, yeah, I think it's just kind of a price kind of way out there because of the distance. I kind of liked the horse, but kind of pull off a little bit of an upset there, but it wasn't great last time out at this distance, but I at least see that the horse, they tried to run him long, or run her long. So maybe, they're doing it again for a reason. So that's kind of the long shot there. Then with the 8, Crystal, we talked about this horse a couple of weeks ago, Ricky, on the show. Just like, I'm just kind of over this horse. I think she's seen her better days, kind of. So I kind of just say, okay, if you're playing a try, I would use her. But I really fell in love with the 1. She throws heat in this race. I love Shug stretching out in distance a lot. I feel like this is a really good spot. And I love when Jose Ortiz rides for Shug McGahee, because Jose, we know he can choose around and pick whatever barns. And it's not like McGahee's a trainer you don't want to ride for. He's got good horses. But when these two hook up, they do very well. And I just think that this horse is going to come with a pretty strong run. You look the race last time out, came with a really strong run at 1 1/16. I think today you're going to get a slower pace, which is going to cause this horse to be a little bit closer to those front runners. And I think that's really going to help. So I really fell in love with the 1 at 4-1. I think we're going to see a big time progression from this horse. And you look at Shug McGahee, usually he's a guy that can really get the most out of a horse. And I think he's found a pretty good spot here. So I'd be surprised if the 1 doesn't run well. So I put that horse on top. And the 6 as well. What does a shark say? I don't know. I don't really know what a shark says. But, I think this horse is kind of the Ricky P play, in a way. Just a really consistent horse. Just every time runs pretty well, has ran well at this level and at this distance. And so kind of the proven commodity of the bunch here. Toner, he's a guy that when he does win races, it is always on the turf. And then Luis Saez jumps aboard. I think that's a really good sign. Roamed the horse last time out as well. So I won the $5 exacta box, 1-6. I'm going to pound the 1-6 here. Just going to take a stand against Crystal, and just wasn't confident enough in any other horse. So hoping for that big Shug progression with the 1, and then just hoping the 6, does her thing and just runs well.
Yeah, I agree. Crystal, we kind of talked about this. Let's just say she's not the horse that was running in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly in 2019. Clearly, and it's just kind of gotten worse. Can she find the form? Potentially, but I agree at 3-1, that might be a horse that you might want to stay away from. What does a shark say? Really dropping in class, not having been seen since August 26th, Jimmy Toner. The 1 is interesting also. I thought ran a pretty good race at Aqueduct. I would say that starter allowance 50,000 level is probably similar, maybe in my opinion, slightly better than this field. So I agree with your sentiments. Mike, I know you are strong on what does a shark say. if you want to add on to that point, or if you want to kind of talk about how you structured. She's just coming out of races that are just much better than this. Does the layoff concern you at all, or are you just super confident on this horse and you'll take whatever price is available?
Yeah, I mean, Aaron mentioned it. There's not much pace in here. And when the best horse gets a pace advantage, watch out. And in this case, the best horse is the 6. What does the shark say? And in this case, the 6 is the lone speed. And you combine those two things, and it's real dangerous. And Sias is good on the lead on the turf too. So we get a good jockey as a turf jockey, especially specifically in front. We get the best horse, and we get a pace advantage. You combine those three things. I'm not really interested in trying to find too many different ways around it. So I'm going to use this horse as a single to close a $5 double with the 2-6 in the previous leg, and I'm starting a $10 double here with the 6 as a single as well. I don't love the price at 5-2. I think that might float up a little bit. I agree with you guys that Cristal is not the horse that was in the Breeders' Cup a couple years ago, but this is a $35,000 non-winners one, so a little lighter field than the Breeders' Cup. So I think that the 8 is still going to take quite a bit of money. I agree with you. The 1 is interesting. The 1 was actually the last horse off my pick 4 ticket. Going 3 deep here with the 6, the 7, and the 8. So if you want to add the 1, I think it adds like $6 to the ticket or $8 to the ticket. My ticket's only $24 for 50 cents. So that would be one that I would consider throwing on there if you do like the 1, like Aaron does. To me, the interesting horse here is the 7 horse. The 7 horse is second time out for the Maker barn. And we know Mike Maker does very, very well going long on the turf. And this horse went a mile and 5/16 over at Kentucky Downs, ran to 72 Beyer. His best career Beyer is an 80 Beyer on this exact Gulfstream turf course. We're getting Irad Ortiz up for Maker. And I've learned these long races, don't leave Maker off. Just don't do it. He's going to bite you every now and then. And this is one of those spots where the horse has the Beyers on the back in his back class on the turf to be able to compete with this bunch. And now you're getting in what I consider a trainer upgrade for a long turf race. And you're getting Maker to test him out here long turf. I mean, everything to me says the 7's going to run a pretty big race. And I don't want Cristal to beat me. That's why I ended up using the 8. I mean, it's really that simple. I don't want the 8 to knock me out of the pick 4 if I'm wrong about the 6. So I'm going to go 3 deep in the pick 4, go 6, 7, 8. But I do think the 6 has a massive pace advantage and is the best horse. And that's a pretty tough thing to overcome in my mind.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the points I made at the very beginning here is you want to look at if any of these horses, or fillies and mares, I should say, have gone the distance. At least the 6, what does the shark say, has done it twice and has finished 3rd twice. And I think that's really important to note. There's pedigree there to go the distance. And she does have that pace advantage, Mike, to your point. I want to bring up a point that Dennis made here real quick. I'm trying to find it. Here we go. Talks about the 3 a little bit. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of like the 3 Woodfin also. And before I let you guys kind of get to your point, the 3 comes from tough races also out of Del Mar. Victoria Oliver is not well known here on the East Coast. I don't know if she's good enough, but kind of to Aaron's point before, if I don't trust anyone really in this field, I think that would be the long shot that I looked at. I think we talked about Julian Leparoux more than enough here on the turf. I'll let both of you guys kind of talk on it, but Aaron, I'll throw it to you first. Do you see anything out of Woodfin, or is 10-1 a price you're just not about, and this horse just has no chance?
Yeah, if Woodfin wins, I lose. I mean, that's really all I can say. I didn't consider this horse for a second, so I don't know how to say it any differently than that. The horse is going to be way behind. We're saying it has no pace in the race. I'm looking at the form, and it's like, yeah, she's hit the board like once and like 6 starts. No, I have no interest. It's not like the horse has taken a huge class drop. Yeah, sure, ran at a grade 3 last time at Del Mar, but allowance. I mean, I have no interest in Woodfin.
Yeah, to me, so I'd much rather have East Coast turf horses than West Coast turf horses, and that definitely comes into play here. I also would I'd be on the all button if I end up with a 3 horse. That is the other issue for me, because I like the 6, 7, 8. I think the 1 is playable, and the 2 to me would be the long shot. So I'm already 5 deep in a field of 8, right? So at that point, to me, it's hitting the all button if you want to include that, because the 4 is out as well. So it's just a field of 7. I mean, so I think if you're gonna stretch beyond 3 in this spot, if you're going to use more than 3, it almost makes sense to hit the all button. And that's where you kind of get into that point where, okay, do I want to include every single horse in here? Or do I want to try and take a stand? So for me, because I think the favorite is the most likely winner, it's a bad all button race. Now, if I thought like the last race where I don't like the 7, I think it's a decent all button race if you really want to go there. because your favorite isn't the one that you think is most likely to win. Here, I do think the favorite is the most likely horse to win. So I'm going to stay away from the all button. And because of that, the 2 and the 3 both are very tough for me to include.
Yeah, I completely agree. If you're going to make a legitimate case for the 3, you're probably going to want to hit the all button. And that's fair. If you're not confident in any of them, maybe that's what you want to do. Let's attack the final race of the sequence. And I'm a New York guy. I'm a NYRA guy. This race just reminds me of the maiden claiming. Let's throw it in there. New York bred. You have no idea what's going to happen. You might as well just throw a dart at the race. Claiming for 12,500 through 10,000 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward that haven't won 3 races, going 5.5 furlongs on the dirt. Mike, please make a case for one of these horses. I'll be honest, I hated them all. I wish this race didn't exist. I wish there were 9 races on the card, but there are 10. The sequence is 7 through 10. So try to make a case for one or a couple. Maybe there's a price that you like in the process as well.
So this is the race I'm most confident in the 4 races. Go figure, right? Let's start out with the fact that the lowest early time form U.S. pace for this race of any of the horses in an 8-horse field is an 83. Every single horse is 83 or higher in the time form. This pace is going to be hot. Even though it's a 5.5 furlong race, this pace is going to be hot. You have multiple horses that are over 100 in the early time form, including a 113 and a 102. Neither of which I think really have much of a chance to stick around. And because of that, and also like outside of Mark Casse, this is a really hodgepodge group of trainers too. There's a lot of zeros that are on the board here. Let's just say that. Because of those 2 reasons, I'm going to go to the 6, cents a million. I get Alfredo Vasquez, who's 14% at Gulfstream. He's had 4 of his horses of 7 mounts start in the money. He's 13% overall in 2020. I get Edgar Zayas, who is riding his brains out right now. Not a jockey I usually love, but he's riding very well at Gulfstream right now, clicking at 17%. And I get a horse that's able to stalk and win, which is pretty much the only one in this field that can stalk and win. I think you're going to see the 6 horse get an absolute setup here. You're going to have 3 or 4 horses that want the lead. They're all going to go out. The 6 has enough speed to be tactical. It's one of the key parts of him having that 85 early time for him. He's not going to be 10 lengths back. He's going to be between 3 and 5 lengths back. And I think that the 6 horse, she is going to be able to absolutely fly around the turn. I wouldn't be shocked if the 6 airs this field at 7-2. So I like the 6 quite a bit in cents a million.
Yeah, real quick, Aaron, before I throw it to you, the 7 high Dollface is or HY Dollface, whatever, that mare is scratched, the 7. Aaron, of course, Mike wants to be different and loves this field. Please tell me you don't like this field. The one case real quick I will make, at least the 6 comes out of a non-condition claiming event, which I think is important. Aaron, kind of walk me through this spot, and please tell me you hate this race so I'm not the only one.
Oh, I hate it. I absolutely freaking hate it.
You can hate a race and have an opinion.
That's true. That is true.
Well, okay. So to that point, I do like his analysis of the race. I do think if you're going to have a strong opinion, the way he set that up was perfect. There is going to be a lot of speed and a lot of speed from horses that aren't any good. So what do horses that are big pressed that aren't any good? What do? They stop. So I'm with you. I love the 6 as well. I did not put the horse on top. I had him second. But I do like the 6 for all the reasons you mentioned. And, she's coming out of races that are similar to this where she's been competitive. And let's just look at that race last time out because it's very similar, right? $12,000 claimer going 6 furlongs today, 5.5. Same difference. This horse closed, right? So into no pace. There was that was a very slow race. But still,
Midtown Rose is a very good Gulfstream horse too.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Well, that's a very good point with the winner there. So I just think if the pace setup is right, you're going to see this horse run well. Yeah. Listen, I hate the field, Ricky. I really do. I went to a horse who sucks, no question about it. The number 1, Dinda, is that how you would say that? The filly?
I would say Dinda.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go with that. You don't know anything, though. You told me that. So why should I listen to you? I'm going to go with just the number 1 is what I'm going to call this filly. I think she might accidentally have the most talent out of the rest of these. You look... 4 races back. It's been a while, but 4 races back, the horse was actually on the dirt got the lead and just kind of faded, but ran decent. And then we're back on the turf again. I kind of think going back to the dirt isn't the worst thing for this horse. We talk about this a lot on the show. Like Luis Saez is here riding in this race. Why? Like, is he doing somebody a huge favor? Maybe, but maybe the horse, they just think, hey, dropping down, outclass this field. Maybe he knows something that we don't. It's very possible. So that's why I put the 1 on top. Out of all the speed, I do think this one, because it's Saez up against a bunch of crumb jocks, I kind of think he might be able to work out a trip for this filly. Like, I hate that the horse has early speed in a race full of early speed horses, but maybe Saez just is able to give this horse a better trip than the rest of these jockeys. So that's why I kind of use the 1 on top. But I'm not going to bet the 1 to win, because it's just a crazy. I mean, this is a crazy field. If you bet a winner in here, you got big balls, and maybe that's Samich. I don't know. I've never seen him, but maybe that's him. I'm not sure. So let's go real quick to nice segue to the 3 who I used as well. I had this horse in third with the 3 Traverse. Yeah, I mean, new barn, old barn sucked, new barn sucked. I get it. It's really not any kind of thing. But 5.5 furlongs Gulfstream, even though there is a lot of speed, sometimes these horses just kind of stick around. And this horse has kind of shown that she can a little bit. Hits the board a lot. I like that. And 12 to 1, I liked that. So for all those reasons, I thought, well, maybe spice up the try. Let's throw the 3 in there as well. The other horse I used was the 2 and another speed horse. But Jaramillo, again, he's got to be the second best jockey in the race. So it's more of just hey, got a decent jockey against jockeys that aren't great. Maybe we can work out a trip here. So, yeah, I use the 2 as well. I think this is the fastest horse of the bunch. So if for some reason a couple of these horses that we think are going to be fast don't do their job, then the 2 accidentally is going to have a lonely lead, or at least kind of just be tracking by maybe the 1 and the 3 are tracking and the 2 setting the pace by herself. I could see that scenario. I had the horse in 4th though, so I'm not real confident, but I could see maybe hanging around for a piece of it. So yeah, I went 50-cent trifecta box 1, 2, 3, 6. I think it's the perfect race to play a try. I think this is just a wide open scramble.
Yeah, and I think, Mike, real quick, I just want to throw this in there. I know the connections aren't great, but can the 3 hold up? I guess that Aaron kind of answered that. He's hoping.
Yeah.
I think that's the plan. Kind of to your point, new barn going from, I would say, maybe a C barn to a C barn, grade wise. C, I don't know how much of that, if that's an improvement or not, but we'll see. Real quick, Mike, before I throw it to you, the 1 is just interesting. Getting back to the dirt, that was a great point there. She just might have more talent, and this is a significant drop in class. The race on the dirt, I think 4 starts back on June 17th. That was open 30,000. So it's not just a price difference. It's open. That's a massive difference when you're going from condition claiming events to non-condition claiming events. So I think that was a strong point there. Mike, is there something you want to add or to tack on to Aaron's point?
Well, first off, Aaron better hope that Paco Lopez never finds him in an alley, because he'll probably fight him over that comment that Jaramillo is the second best jockey in this race. The 1 horse to me is just the classic Mike Samich. No, thank you. I don't want any part of this horse. This horse has literally passed 4 horses in its entire career. 4 horses. And one of those was going from 8th to 7th at Gulfstream. Another one was its first start, and the other 2 horses were going from 7th to 5th at the half-mile point to the 6 furlong point. That was the only horses he's ever passed in his career, period. And this horse is cutting back from a mile to 5.5 furlongs, where he cannot make the lead. So for me, like the last time this horse was at 6 furlongs on the dirt, it was 8 lengths back. I'm sorry, it was 11 lengths back at the half-mile point. This horse 11 lengths back has 0 chance winning. And that to me is a huge concern here. On top of that, drawing the inside, I think has to be a problem for this horse. I agree. Saez is the best jockey in this race. If anyone can work out a trip, it's Saez, but he's going to have to work out a trip here, because the 2 is faster than the 1. And the 2 is going to go by the 1. The 3 is faster than the 1. The 3 is going to be out there. So right away, Saez is going to get shuffled on this 1 horse who is just not as fast at 5.5 furlongs as these other horses are. So Well, their speed may not hold up. Their speed is going to cause a lot of trouble for the one horse. And I think the one horse is going to get bet because you were both right. This horse is coming out of way better races against much better horses, running better buyers. So for all of those reasons, I think that, you really, the one's going to take money, but I think the one is in a heap of trouble here. So I'm going to let the one beat me. I do like the two a little bit. I think that the two horse is the speed of the speed. And Aaron and I used to joke about this because I'd be playing Will Rogers Downs and he would use 3 speed horses and I'd use 2 closers. And he would always be right because you know what? At 5.5 furlongs, sometimes the speed just holds. It's just that simple. And in this case, I think Domineer is the speed of the speed. I think if you look at that last race, the horse ran very well, going 6 furlongs over Gulfstream. It was actually out by 6 lengths at 6 furlongs, running a 22-1 opening quarter. If this horse runs 22-1 again, and we're only going 5.5, maybe we can hold on. And that's kind of the reason I'm going to end up with the 2 horses, my other horse in the pick 4 here. I still think it sets up for the 6. I still like the 6 the most, but I think the 2 horse is the other horse that you kind of have to factor in. I thought the 5, well, real quick on the 3. I think if you like the 3, the race 4 back at Gulfstream Park going 6 furlongs, where this horse was 6 lengths off the lead and closed to win, is actually the reason why you could like the 3 here a little bit. This horse doesn't need the lead, whereas a couple others in here do. And this horse is 1 from off the pace, which not many in here have. So if you are going to take a shot, I think the 3 is worthwhile. I think the 5 is the other one that's worthwhile, who can win from off the pace. So to me, those 2 horses are the others that can close. And I'm either looking for either who's the speed of the speed or who can come from off the pace. And for me, the speed of the speed is the 2. The best horse coming from off the pace is the 6. And the 3 and the 5 are the others that could kind of sneak in there from off the pace if they needed to.
Yeah, I love all of your points. We got to kind of wrap this up real quick. So, Aaron, I'll start with you. Kind of just walk me through your sequence kind of real quick or something to highlight on as you kind of sum up your tickets individually here, starting with race 7.
Yeah, I'll just go through it real quick. My strongest opinion of the whole day is the 2-3 will finish 1st and 2nd in the 7th race. So that's where I'll invest the most money. I'll go a $10 exacta box, 2-3 in that spot. I realize the exacta price could come back a little short, but I still think it's going to be worthwhile to make that wager just because I'm just really confident that the 2-3 are going to make up that exacta. Race 8, just taking a small shot. $1 trifecta box, 4, 5, and 7, just $6 bet. Just hope I'm right there. Didn't have a strong opinion. Race 9, $5 exacta box, 1-6 for me. Really like the 1. I think the 1's going to show progression, and I really like the 6 for a lot of the reasons we talked about. Pace, it seems to favor the 6. Absolutely the most established and consistent horse in the race, and I'm just kind of trying to take a shot against Crystal, who I think will take money. And in this crazy last race here, the 1, 2, 3, 6 exacta box for me, I just think it's a classic exacta type of race. It sets up for that. $48 investment for me. I'll say this one last thing on this 10th race we're talking about. When you're playing a trifecta like this, I think the 6 is almost like a free square because it just feels like that horse will hit the board. There's no question. Maybe she's just not fast enough to win, but she's going to hit the board. So it's almost like, well, you got the automatic. There's the 6. Now let's just hope that the 2 of those other 3 horses get in. So yeah, we'll see how it shakes out. But $48 investment for me. And man, let's hope to stay hot.
Yeah, Mike, give us your tickets. I know you kind of gave a little pick 4 and some daily doubles there. So kind of walk us through your thought process here.
Yeah, for sure. And just to piggyback on Aaron, if you wanted to even do a trifecta box key here with the 6 and add a 4th horse, you could have the same amount of cost. So that might be another way to attack it if you do like another horse in this last race. So I wanted to spend around $50. That's kind of how I came into this. So I ended up playing a 50-cent pick 4. I'm going to go 2-3 with 2, 4, 5, 6 with 6, 7, 8 with 2, 6. That'll cost you $24. And then I wanted to press my opinions because I did have an opinion in every single one of these races. So I'm going to play a $5 daily double in race 7, 2 with 2, 6. I'll play a $5 daily double in race 8, 2, 6 with 6. And then I'm going to play a $10 daily double in race 9, 6 with 6. Overall, that'll cost you $54 to play.
Yeah, and I think, Aaron, to your point, you said something earlier. This is why we structure our show this way. Because not everyone likes multi-race. Some people don't want to spend maybe as much money, so they can kind of string their money along. I'll give the positives and negatives real quick. The positives to the way I like to play is your $40 can last you through 3 legs, and it's almost 2 hours of your day. to your structure, which is better. It's like, all right, well, if I lost the first leg of something, now I can go race by race and kind of maybe press. I can, to Mike's point, maybe I can play like a $10 or $20 double if I love something. So that's really what we're trying to do here. And I kind of always stress, not only are we trying to teach, but we're learning from each other as well. And I think that's really important. If you think you know everything in handicapping, you're wrong. I can promise you that. There's always something to learn, always trends to learn, always jockeys that do something well or don't do well. And I think it's really important to stick to what you do, but at the same time, try to incorporate other people's opinions as well if you think they're worth listening to. Mike, I know you have to go, so if there are any final comments you want to throw in real quick before you head out of here, please do so real quick.
Yeah. So real quick, the sixth race to start out the pick 5. I liked a couple horses you guys actually talked about. Colonel Tom was in that race, who I loved last time out. That race was taken off the turf, so it's a little bit more murky to me. The main track only horse, the 10 horse, I think is really tough, and the 5 horse would be the other one I'd use. So if I did start at pick 5, I would be using the 5-10. The 4 was my kind of next up if you are interested in going that deep. But that was my thoughts on the 6th. Look, I think this is a fun card, and I agree with Ricky. There's different styles. My style with the multi-race tickets is a lot more variance. I mean, you're going to have a lot more losing days playing the way I play than playing the way Aaron plays, but the winning days are going to pay more. And so it's really all about how you want to attack it and how you want to structure it and what risk reward you got there. And I think it's interesting because there's definitely different ways to look at this. And I came into this thinking, well, maybe I'll play exactas and trifectas. And I came out of it thinking, you know what, I'm going to keep these multi-race things going because that's what I like to do. And that's where my biggest opinions were. So that's kind of how I took forward. Ricky, thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it, man. It was a blast to go through these late Gulfstream races. Hopefully we can stay hot.
Yeah, no, exactly. And as you kind of sign off here, Aaron and I are going to recap a fantastic day yesterday. Obviously, I know you got to go and you got stuff to do, and that's great. But we're going to stick here real quick. Aaron, we got to talk about yesterday real quick. I mean,
thanks everybody.
What a day we had yesterday. I'm going to pull up some of the stuff that we had yesterday. We'll start with race 7, and there is a ticket that I do want to share for everyone, just to kind of indicate what we're doing here on the show because it's pretty fantastic. We'll start here. There we go. In race 7, kind of, it was just an unbelievable day. You hit this right on the head. I'll be the first one to kind of throw out. The 1 is horrible, broken table, just absolutely horrible. I thought the 2 split. The T wasn't bad early on and had a chance. The 4 Gabby squared kind of came out, and that's, you could see there, the DQ. I thought the 4 Gabby squared really had a chance. I think the race kind of didn't break all that well for her. She was kind of towards the inside and then kind of pushed her way out. But you were all in on the 6 mail order, and I think a lot of people listened because you didn't get the best odds of all time. But the important thing here is winning, and that's what you did yesterday.
Yeah, this was a 12-1 horse, and yeah, what did it go off like 4-1? So yeah, crazy. This was a. Sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good, and that's exactly what this was. Watching this live, I thought, the 3 got the 6. You know, no question about it. And lo and behold, the 6 gets the bob. It was just amazing, absolutely amazing. Bob, it really helped a lot of people cash their pick 4s. I know Samich hit a big pick 5 and pick 6 because of this horse, and he did not use the 3. So it was crazy. This was a crazy race. As far as moving forward, I think I kind of want the 3 and the 8 moving forward. The 6 maybe a little bit, but the 3 and the 8 are the 2 that I would really use moving forward. I thought they ran fantastic races. I wouldn't play Gabby squared again. The 4, yeah, and you're right. You know, like spill the tea. Just sometimes when it's just a no effort whatsoever, you're just kind of like, yeah, maybe I just crossed the line through that one. But the 3 and the 8 came running, and I don't think you're going to get 14, 15-1 on either one of those horses next time out.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you said. The one point I'll make about Gabby squared, I think she was just really looking to run and just never got a chance to. And maybe that's why she came out and she just had a ball of energy. And that's fair. The broken table, I don't need. I'll be honest. I loved broken table yesterday. I think she's garbage. So sure. The only way I'd take her, I'm being serious, is if she's going to go 10 furlongs. And that's about it. but she did nothing yesterday. And even at 10 furlongs, I probably don't want her. This is a significantly worse race than she ran in her debut. And we thought there'd be room for improvement. But to your point, I think you were kind of off of her yesterday and kind of said, she's whatever. So you got this race absolutely correct. The 8, who I liked yesterday, ran a really good race. You got the 14-1 or almost 15-1 odds there. That's a horse I'd want back. I don't know if you mentioned her or not. Did you mention the 8 that's the horse you'd want back?
No, I mentioned that I want her back, but that was all you yesterday as far as liking that horse. That was a really, really good pick, and that almost came through, and you didn't use her, and like you said after, it's like, wow, I would be so mad if that 8 won. But to me, that is the 1 and the 3. The 3 and the 8, those are the 2 I'm circling and saying next time out. So listen, we've already are starting to get into horses that we've talked about last week, 2 weeks ago. I bet we talk about the 3 and the 8 again on this show. And when we do, I bet we're going to use them.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. And you're just like you said, we talked about it yesterday. I was like, thank goodness this 8 horse didn't win because I would have been very, very upset. Let's move on to the 6th race. And real quick, before we touch on this, I'm going to let you take this away because that's really, really where you kind of, I don't want to say shine because I always think you're shining when you're on this show. But at the same time, you're the one who said, watch out for this 6 horse. I was in between the 5 and 6, but you really stuck your neck out and said this 6 could go gate to wire. And boy, did he do that and did it kind of with style.
Well, I think Samich pointed it out. It was a hell of a ride by Julian Leperoux because the horse kind of wanted to run early, kind of wanted to run off, and he was able to just keep the horse settled, keep him in front. That's a huge thing. Don't choke them back to where now they don't have the lead. Keep them in front, but save the energy. And the horse needed it. I mean, only a 3/4 length victory, but yeah, just dug in, held on gamely. Really proud of this one. This was a win wager on the show yesterday. 8-1 is the price we got. So man, now that really got the ball rolling. Huge score here. As far as coming next time, I want the 4. I thought the 4 ran very well, closed ground. The 2 did as well, but I think the 4 was a little bit more impressive. So I definitely want the 4 coming back. I think the 6 is dangerous again if the pace setup is what it is. But if it's not, I'm not sure. I think the horse is definitely pace dependent. So it'll just depend on the setup next time out for the 6. But I think the 4 is going to be a dangerous horse.
Yeah, I completely agree. The 4 was that prove it to me horse. I want to see what he does, and he ran well. So to your point, I don't need to touch on it at all. I think he is a horse you need back at this level. This is a strong level. So if he were to step into a stakes race, probably maybe a 75,000 purse or 100,000 purse, I definitely think with some fitness, that's a horse you could include as well. Even though it's a slight step up in class on paper, I'll make the case that we talked about this yesterday. This was almost a stakes race as well. So keep that in mind. Real quick, I want to thank both of us for not using endorsed. Look, this horse was horrible, had no business on the turf. This horse ran in the Westchester to Code of Honor, Vacoma in the Metropolitan, the Alydar, the Kelso. Wasn't horrible in some of those races, but this horse wants nothing to do with the turf. And I'll be honest, next time around, he's going to be probably an AOC, maybe 40. Don't want him there either, no matter where he runs, because they will not put this horse in a claiming race. They just won't do it. So proud of both of us on that front, and because he was horrible. And you could see there, here 5.5-1, he took money. And there was no true favorite. Yes, Monarch's Artie's Rumor was the favorite, but we kind of said that might be a vulnerable horse as well. And this was wide open. And I think that's why we landed on 6 Phantom Currency, because we didn't really see a standout in this spot. The 9th race, I don't have any strong opinions. Before I let you kind of take it away, I do want to say that Hercules was a standout, and it did take a little while for Hercules to get going. I'm going to talk about someone that, I was going back and forth with one of my followers, not back and forth, but I guess we were just walking through, I should say. And he asked me, we're going to show the ticket, and he asked me, who should you be afraid of? And I said, to be honest, and I think I texted you this, I said, the 2 is a pretty strong single. The 4 and the 9 were probably the horses that I would think about hedging on it. And I'll be honest, I did tell him to hedge because of the ticket. And we're going to show it in a little bit. But how good was Hercules? Kind of once he got going, you kind of just saw the class kind of romp this field.
Yeah. So the amazing thing about this race to me was you were all over Hercules. I was all over Hercules. I talked to Samich off air. He's like, oh, Hercules is just going to dominate. I saw some of his winning tickets yesterday. He had Hercules singled. So it's like, how the hell did we get the price we got on Hercules? This was amazing. I said play $20 to win on Hercules, and I was hoping to get back, maybe even money at best, but 8-5 was amazing. I'll be honest, I added a little bit more money to that $20 wager when I saw these odds. I get that maybe people were a little scared because it was a claimer, but this horse, it was kind of logically progressed into the claiming ranks. It wasn't, we're an allowance and now we've just a steep drop. It's like, yeah, kind of just needed to be in this race, right? And then Ira is aboard. It's like, this horse should roll. And sure, Hercules did a really good race. I just, sometimes you get a price on a horse that just doesn't make any sense. And that's what we got here. I mean, 8-5, and again, this is something I've said ever since we started the website way back when. Sometimes 8-5 is the best value on the card. When you think a horse should be 3-5 and they're 8-5, sometimes that is something that you cannot beat. And almost this horse was better value than the 8-1 that we picked in the last race, because the 8-1 maybe should have been 8-1. So we're here. This horse should have been 3-5 and was 8-5. And so, yeah, this was good. Good wager. Good handicapping. Everything was good with this race.
Yeah, and to your point, I'm going to make one before I tack on to your point, which was excellent. You could see that there at the bottom there, if you're not listening, but if you're watching, 3 claimed horses: the 9 Grazar, the 4 Siddharth, and the Method, the 8. I don't necessarily know why the Method was claimed out of here, I'll be honest. But what I will say is, I think the 2, to your point, it was kind of like a lot of people are like, well, how good is this horse at this point? Real quick before I say what I want to conclude with, I wouldn't be surprised if the 2 kind of moves up, maybe to 25. I thought he deserves that. Real quick before I move on, is that what do you see him staying here, or do you see him maybe moving up a little bit, or how would you play him next time out?
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to move up, and I think that becomes a little bit of a problem because, yeah, he was very sharp, but was he sharp because this level just wasn't great? So it's a little bit of a worry. So like for next time out, next time purposes, maybe just pause the brakes on the 2 pending the field. And again, I think we'll be talking about this horse at some point in a couple of weeks because he's a claiming horse. He just won. Let's do it again. But yeah, I'll pause the brakes. We'll just see how it comes up. I look at the 2 the same way I look at the 6 from the 8th race. Let's just see the setup. Let's see the conditions, where he's at, who's on him, all that stuff. A horse I am interested in is the 4, because I think they'll keep the 4 around this level. And Safi Joseph just claimed the horse. So do I need to go any further? Also, the 9, Maker claims the horse. So I'm interested in the 9. I have a feeling the 4 and 9 we'll be talking about a little bit. The Method was also claimed by Safi Joseph, and I don't know what to think of that one really. So we'll see on him. But yeah, coming back next time, Hercules. Let's just see where he's entered. Obviously, he's proven, hey, I'm a pretty good horse at this level, but they may try to take a step up next time.
It's real quick, before I move on, the 2 Hercules, don't want him at the starter allowance, so I'm going to eliminate that. I don't think he's good enough. If you watch his race, he kind of struggled towards the end and only won by a length and a half. He struggled doing so at the very, very end. So if you're going to move up to that, you better win by 4 or 5.
Can I make one point? Because what you just said is really, really true. Here's the difference when you're watching a really good horse against a horse that is good compared to the field they're in. When they turned for home, and you said it, Hercules was a 6-length winner. Like, I turned to my mother-in-law and said, this race is over. There is no chance. I went to walk to the kitchen. And she's like, oh, it's getting close. You look back. He doesn't have that next step to just separate. And while it wasn't close, it was never really in doubt. he should have won that race by a lot more. So that's a really good point. If I interrupt you, I'm sorry, but I just thought I got to harp on that. That's the difference between a claiming horse and like an allowance or a stakes type.
And, we talk about this, especially in sports. Not every length and a half is length and a half. There's a difference when you're up by 6 and win by a length and a half, where it's like, all right, maybe he got pulled up a little. Maybe they let go. They didn't push him. This horse was getting pushed to finish that race out. I think that's important. The 4 Sidar, the big thing that we didn't really touch upon yesterday, he was coming back. He ran on December 19th, ran on December 27th, and ran yesterday, which was January 13th. Gustavo Delgado says, you know what, let's have him here at 6, and he passed tired horses. That was the indication he needed longer. He goes 8.5 furlongs, runs a much better race, and comes back in a mile. So people say, well, I don't always know what the trainer's thinking. Gustavo Delgado's telling you what he's thinking by his plan for that horse, and maybe that's why Safi Joseph says, I can do something with this horse moving forward. The 10th race, I'll be honest, this was the race where I thought I can get a price home. I'll scroll down for everyone real quick. Mai Tai won, and I think Mike kind of referenced it. He was the favorite yesterday. I don't know what to think of this horse. I didn't have a strong opinion yesterday. I thought this was a big drop in class. I don't know how great he was, and to be honest, I don't want this horse at all moving up. Hercules, on the other hand, maybe not. This horse, I kind of like just lumbered down the stretch. You could see that rail trip up to 1/8 of a mile left. I really, really thought that this was a race you can get a price home, and I kind of had a few prices. Were you really strong on Mai Tai 1, and how do you see him moving forward as we move into the 2021 campaign?
Tricky horse moving forward, because I didn't think Mai Tai went on looked great, but at the same time, it was off a layoff as well. So it's kind of impressive to get the win. I don't like the horse moving up. If the horse is at a similar level to this, and I say moving up, I don't want a horse in an allowance. If you're in a $40,000 claimer, well, then maybe we think about it next time out. But listen, I thought it was a solid win. This is a horse I liked on top. I did miss the trifecta bet. I got the top 2 and I didn't get the rest. But so it was a miss for me as far as the wagering. But it was nice to get this on top winner home. I'll be honest. I didn't really like anybody in this race. It kind of seemed like Mai Tai went on, was ready to get caught, and nobody could do it. I don't know if that's how you kind of saw it, but last 175, 50 yards, the whole time I'm thinking we're going to get beat here. This horse isn't moving that fast, but nobody could really catch him. So, yeah, I'm with you. I wasn't overall thrilled with anybody here. The one caveat being, this horse came off a layoff, could improve next time. You could say the same thing about the 4. I think both were coming off layoffs, so maybe they improve next time out. But it's kind of a mixed bag. We'll just have to see what the field looks like. It's definitely not a boom, slam dunk. We're going to use these horses no matter what.
I think yesterday someone mentioned the 6, and Dennis, I agree. I don't want anyone out of this race really either. The 6 fast loaded, we were talking about, he's the speed. Fast loaded, if there's a way that horse can become a quarter horse, well, they try it, because this horse, again, he's the horse that's going to go to the gym, lift really, really well for 10, 15 minutes, and then he needs a drink of water. He's got to go to the bathroom. He's just not interested after 10 minutes, and that's what he was here. You could see close, falls off. And that horse going off at 7-1, God bless, because that horse made 0 sense. I was really disappointed in the 10. I thought Cryogenic was a horse that we were kind of making a play for. He just isn't in the best form, even though those races were tougher. I kind of know where he stands now. He was like the 4, the horse that was coming from overseas. He really should have been a let's see what happens. Any horse that's going from a maker to Daniel Pitta, I should have known better. The 10 is the horse with Steve Claceris that he's always run pretty good races. And he just didn't show up here. That was the horse that really bit me. I don't know. Do you have anything on him? I don't know if I really want this horse. I know this was a step up in class, but I just looked at the consistency and said he always just runs a good race. I kind of want him in this spot. Maybe he's just not good enough to run at this spot, but I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than you think you have a horse that you can rely on and then they do what the 10 did. I mean, that's one of the most frustrating things in racing when you think, well, he's going to be good enough to hit the board, or I can use him. It's kind of like the 6 in the 10th race today that we talked about. If that horse runs like 8th, you're going to be like, what the hell? Like I use this horse. I think that's a reliable one. And then she didn't do anything. And that's kind of how you feel about the 10. It's like, really today, like when I needed this horse, that's what happened. So it's racing. It's frustrating. I mean, I would draw a line through it as far as that horse goes. It's a bizarre effort. But again, I think, like Dennis said it, and we kind of said it, it's a sketchy group overall. It is a really sketchy group overall.
Yeah, so, it was a great day yesterday, but there's proof. We're not just blowing smoke. If you didn't watch yesterday, there is proof, and we're going to show it to you right here. This is just one of many tickets that I got yesterday, emails, things like that. Jacob, I don't know if you wanted to be mentioned, but you were on Twitter, so we're going to throw this out there for you. The first part was the win show. That's fine. But look at what he did with Phantom Currency. Win show. Now, I don't know if he made a mistake on not including the place there, but that's okay. Because look at that return on Phantom Currency. That's fantastic. Almost $300 on 25. And look at what he did in the pick 4. And folks, we don't have time to show you every ticket because we do have some races today that we want to watch. But look at what he did there. And he singled Hercules. He must have listened and saw that one. And Phantom Currency, you said, well, I'm going all in with Phantom Currency. And boy, did it pay off. When he even said yesterday, look at that. I got $1 ticket yesterday. Jacob, this is great. This is what we're trying to do here. Not only are we trying to teach and learn from each other, but we're trying to make money. And Jacob took advantage of that. And yesterday, I'll take the fall for saying you might want to hedge a little bit outside of the Hercules horse, but that's fine. And his response was, you know what? It's $40 or $60 down the drain. Look at that return for $1. You could have played it for $25 for 50 cents. I mean, this is fantastic. Before I throw it to you, I said yesterday, when I like a horse and you like a horse, it's a really good feeling, especially when we got on Hercules. I think it was 8-5, 9-5, whatever it was. And you said you threw more money. I trust what you do and the way your process is, and I would assume you do the same with me, and I would throw in everyone with the brand Racing Dudes. Mike said this one time. He said, Magic, if I couldn't bet and I had to go on someone else's picks, I would go with Magic. I would do the same thing with you because we see things really, really similarly. Granted, I would never want anyone to be betting my own money. I'll be the first to admit. But I will say that when you like I said, when you like a horse and I like a horse, it's like, all right, we got something here. And we like Phantom Currency. And I'll be honest, you had to push me over the edge a little bit because I was going back and forth with Sandancer. But once you said Phantom Currency, I was like, you know what? Someone out there is going to do it. And Jacob, congrats, because you were the one who stuck your head out there. You played it for $1 and look at your return. And ironically, if my Taiwan doesn't come in, we were going through the prices yesterday, you're looking at 4 digits. So never wrong to cash anything like that. But if anyone gets my Taiwan, we could have been looking at a bigger payout.
Yeah, so I'll give all compliments. This is a ballsy ticket. Here I am talking about balls again, but this to single the 6 was a really, really bold choice. And boy, does it pay off. Yeah, that's a great ticket. That is a fantastic structure there. Most people that have emailed or sent us messages on Twitter, the 2 was their single. Even Dan from the Fantasy League, he also sent me a text saying that he cashed yesterday as well, and he singled the 2. So, yeah, I think that was the big takeaway from yesterday. Everybody said, yeah, this 2 is who we want to really center this thing around. And then Jacob does a great job here and singles the 6 as well. That's like said. And, man, you're right. I'm almost pissed the 3 won the race now, seeing this ticket and looking it over because it could have been more, but as handicappers, we always want more, right? Even when we win, it's like, why didn't we bet more? Why didn't that long shot come in the last race and make this thing pay? So, yeah, really good ticket, man. I'm happy, and hopefully we can do it again. Today's card, I don't foresee a huge payout in the multis, but I do think you can make some money if we can get a couple of the prices home we talked about on today's show. So hopefully we can keep it up. That's why we do it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And again, I'll say this till the end of time. It's what we try to do is make money, but we're also trying to learn. I mean, we're trying to teach as well. And if anyone can ever share any information with us, that's also vital. Please continue to email, comment, send DMs, however you want to reach out. I don't really care how you do it. Whether it's positive, negative, we love the interaction, and we'll be more than happy to go back and forth with you if we disagree. I promise you that. So at the same time, again, Mike took my spot today in terms of tickets, so I will recap Mike's stuff tomorrow along with Aaron's stuff. Aaron will not be on. He is once again traveling the United States. All credit to him. In 2021, COVID is not affecting him. So Curtis Magic Halloward will be on again. Curtis, if you're listening, you have a lot to live up to. So I'll be on with him tomorrow. And folks, all seriousness, this has been great. It is great cashing tickets. That's what we're trying to do. Everyone loves making money. We don't care what profession you're in. If you like making money, this is the spot for you. So we would love to share your winning tickets moving forward, your comments, ideas, thoughts. Aaron, before we sign off, anything you want to add before we hit today's card?
Yeah, last show from Uncle Vito's until Saratoga, probably. So next time you see this sign behind me here, it'll be talking Saratoga, so that'll be fun. Moving through the country tomorrow, going all the way back home tomorrow. So or maybe part of the way, or maybe all the way, we'll see. But I'll be listening to the Rocket Show, no doubt. I don't miss it, but no, I will not be on. But yeah, good luck to you guys tomorrow. Good luck, Magic. You sucked last time you filled in for me, man. You killed the show almost. We almost didn't even get to do it after that. It was so bad. Just kidding, but not really. So yeah, do better tomorrow, Magic. I'm gonna be watching you.
Yeah, of course. And if Aaron wasn't watching, it wouldn't be a quality show. Tomorrow at 11 a.m., we will be talking about a few stakes races as well. So the recaps might be a little bit shorter because Aaron won't be here. Mike won't be on. So none of my tickets will be talked about. We do have the Rockets available online. We have Fairgrounds today, folks. You do not want to miss Fairgrounds because of what they have this weekend. You do want to get familiar with what you're about to see this weekend. It's the LeCompte. I don't know if it's the LeCompte, the LeCompte. I don't know. I'm not from Fairgrounds, from the area. I'm not from Louisiana. Aaron's not either, so don't blame us if we get it wrong. It is a massive race in terms of what we're going to see this year. Dennis, you can use smoke signals. I don't know if I'm going to get it here on the 30th floor here in New Jersey in my apartment, but you could try. But without further ado, again, like I always say, please send us your thoughts, ideas, comments, positive, negative, whatever you want. We will be on again tomorrow, and Aaron will be back next week. Hopefully he's in a spot where he won't be moving. He won't be in a car. He won't be in a different state. He'll be in his normal Missouri home, and that's where we want him to be comfortable when he comes on the show. So
Right.
Without further ado, everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and more importantly, let's try to cash some tickets and make this 2 days in a row so Magic Halloward feels the pressure when he comes on tomorrow. Have a good day, everyone.